Good morning, church. I hope everybody's doing all right. Happy Easter. Hate we can't meet today, but we'll do the best we can. I've just got a quick little lesson for us here. It probably won't take 10 minutes of your time if you'll just give me a little bit of time. I want to talk a little bit about Philippians 2:12. It says this. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence." Now listen closely. "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." I'm going to say it one more time. The main point I want to focus on is work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Now I've taught this lesson before. I think it was back in December or maybe January, but I can't think of a better time than right now for this message, and it fits this time so perfect. First of all, work it out. I want to talk about working out your salvation, and true salvation is a lot more than just a repeat after me prayer or just a 5-minute prayer and then it's done. It goes a lot deeper than that, and there's a lot more to being saved and being a true Christian than just saying a prayer and it's one and done. Sometimes it takes time. You may have to beg and plead and seek the Lord, and it might not happen right away. It might be something that you have to work with the Lord and really talk to Him and really seek Him. But the Bible says if you do seek the Lord, that you will find Him. And another thing I want to talk about, in our society, we hire out everything. Everything we do, a lot of the things we do, we subcontract. In the construction world, we subcontract things. Years past, people did everything themselves. They grew their own food. They built their own houses. Everything they did on their own. They were completely self-sufficient, and they had to be. But in our society, as we advance, we tend to specialize in certain areas and then let other people do the different areas of our life. Like, for example, we might pay somebody to mow our grass, or we might pay a mechanic to work on our car. Or we pay somebody to build our house for us. So we can specialize on our specialty, and we can focus on what we do. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's I think that's necessary for our society to succeed. It allows people to really focus on one area and get really good at that one area. However, the problem with that is when we let that come over into Christianity, because in Christianity it doesn't work like that. I feel like a lot of Christians, we want to focus on what we want to focus on, and then we want to let the preacher or the pastor or the Sunday school teacher, whoever, we want to subcontract our salvation out to the pastor alone, or to a Sunday school teacher, or to somebody else, and it seems like we think we can live our day-to-day life and let the pastor do all the Bible study and the Bible reading and the praying and everything else, and then we just come in on Sunday and listen to what they find out, and we think that's how our salvation can work. And sadly, it's not true. Like I said, the concept works great in society, but with our salvation, it's completely independent to us. It's completely up to us. It's not up to anybody else. Because the problem is we won't be judged on anybody else's account, and we won't be judged corporately. As a church, we'll be judged individually. Everybody will be judged individually on their own salvation and how they've worked out their salvation. I want you to picture something. If we had everybody riding bikes outside the church parking lot, and we all had training wheels on, and we were all riding around, we'd all look like pretty good bicycle riders, I would think. But what would happen if we took training wheels off, and everybody would put the same people, same group of people out there riding the same bicycles, but we just took all the training wheels off? I think there'd be a few people that'd be fine. They'd ride around, no problem. You wouldn't notice any difference. There'd be a few people that would probably slow down a little bit, and they might bobble here and there. But there would be a few people that'd probably fall on their face. And when you look at that spiritually, I feel like that's kind of what we do in church, and you know, we're always going to be young Christians. I mean, there's always young Christians in the church, and some Christians mature faster than others, but the goal is to take the training wheels off eventually. I don't think God wants us to be riding around with spiritual training wheels on our whole life. He wants to see us improve and grow as Christians and grow closer to Him. That's His purpose, I think. So, and my thought with that, now granted, this was a couple months ago, and this is why I wanted to teach this again, but what I said was, what if the choir quit singing, and the teachers quit teaching, and the pastor quit preaching? Or what if all the church is closed tomorrow? And I look at that now, and here we are 4 or 5 weeks with the doors of the church being closed. We hadn't had church in 4 or 5 weeks. We hadn't had any singing. We have had preaching, and we've had some singing online and stuff. And I mean, we do have plenty of access to sermons and Bible teaching and all that we want on the internet. There's plenty of it out there, but the doors of the church have been closed, and we hadn't been able to meet. So the training wheels have come off, and I guess my question is, how is your relationship with the Lord holding up now that we've been out of church for a few weeks? Are you still praying? Do you still worship in some sense? Do you still read your Bible? Are you still hearing from the Lord on a daily basis or a weekly basis, or have you slipped back and you just kind of went back to your old life and kind of carried on as normal with nothing from the Lord? And I really feel like the Christian people have been given a test or been given an opportunity to seek the Lord on your own. Search out your own salvation, just like Philippians says here. Now we've got time. It's up to us individually now. And I think this is a good thing, because a lot of us seem to ride on the church all the time, and we just ride on those training wheels. And for the church to succeed, it takes the individual. The purpose of the church was to improve the individual and bring them closer to the Lord and cultivate their own relationship with the Lord. It was not designed just to be a crutch where people could subcontract their salvation and let somebody else take care of that. That wasn't the purpose of the church. And if that's what the church has done, then we've failed. If we can't go a few weeks without church and all of us backslide and fall right back into the lives we used to live and completely forget about God, then the church has failed. Because like I said, on Judgment Day, we won't be judged as Cornerstone Church, and we won't be judged as a Sunday school class or your youth group. You won't be judged together. You won't be judged with your parents or nobody like that. I mean, it's going to be you and the Lord, and it's going to be up to the salvation that you worked out with God and what you did, whatever kind of, however you found salvation. It's going to be up to you, and it's going to be between you and the Lord, nobody else. The church isn't going to be there. The pastor's not going to be there to say, well, he was at church every Sunday, or he taught Sunday school, or he sang in the choir. It's not going to be that way. And there'll be some people that take this the wrong way, as if church doesn't matter now, or that there's no need to attend church, and that's not my point at all. I think church is a fundamental tool for the Christian to grow, and it's just such a blessing to have a church to go to. I mean, there's plenty of countries right now that even this video wouldn't be allowed to be played, or they wouldn't be able to meet and have church. But thank God we live in a country where we can do that freely. And man, it's such a good tool to have other believers and people you can talk to and meet with, and just the simple fellowship with other Christians is necessary. And but like I said, the purpose of the church was not to just be a training wheel or a crutch. It's okay to start off that way. I know all of us start off that way, but eventually the purpose of the church was to make us grow, grow us into mature Christians, and we can't do that if we stay on the training wheels all the time. And for the church to be successful, we all have to read our Bibles, we all have to study, and we all have to worship on our own. And then that way, when we come together, it makes it that much better. The church just can't do everything for you. So my question is, with all that's going on and all the stuff that's closed down and not being able to meet for church, what's our relationship like with the Lord now? Are we still praying? Are we still seeking the Lord? Are we still worshiping and trying to grow? Or are we just trying to hold on and stand still? Or are we going backwards? I sure hope that everybody's trying to move forward and continue to grow. I hope we can use this as an opportunity to grow ourselves individually in the Lord and grow closer to Him. And then, well, that way when we come back together, it's like we never missed a beat. I was talking to my friend yesterday, and it's funny because we were talking. We said, back a couple months ago, we'd always say, man, if we just had time, I'd read a little more, or I'd study a little more if I just had a little more time. And well, right now we've got plenty of time, and I hope we're using it in a good way, and I hope we're using it in a positive way, because it's such an opportunity for us to grow close to the Lord and spend more time with Him. And I hope that's what we're doing. But I just want to encourage you with this lesson to continue in the faith. And just because the church is shut down doesn't mean our salvation's shut down. It doesn't mean God's shut down. The church was way bigger than just brick and wood and stone. It's way more than that, and it goes way beyond the walls of the church and the walls of the building. The church was made of the people, not of the brick and the wood and the stone. So I want you to continue to grow, and I want you to draw close to the Lord during this time. I hope you have time to read more and study more and maybe pray more, and I hope you can enjoy this time. There's plenty of time to rest, and I hope this message encourages you to study out your own Bible and seek out your own salvation with fear and trembling. There's all kinds of stuff for us to fear right now. I know everybody's being led by fear, but in the grand scheme of things, it's all in the Lord's hands. Everything that happens to us, I was thinking about Job the other day. Everything that happened to Job first had to go through God. All of his trials and tribulations that came through, they had to get approved by God first. And I want you to think about that. If you're a blood-bought Christian, everything that happens to us as a nation or as an individual or as a family, every trial and every tribulation we go through first had to get approved by God. It had to come through. It got laid on his desk first, and he approved it. So just remember that. I hope that comforts you. And he knows what's best for us. And but we got to be willing to listen. When he speaks, we have to be willing to listen, and we have to have ears to hear it. So I hope we can take this and use it. But I hope y'all enjoy your Easter Sunday. I hope you get plenty of rest, and maybe here soon we can get back together and have church. But I love y'all. We miss you, and we'll see you soon.